All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're not just talking about some minor tech update. We are looking at what is arguably the next major frontier in the blockchain scalability wars. We're talking about layer threes and these things called app chains. So, what does this new frontier actually look like? Let's get into it.
And this quote just nails it, right? For years, the whole conversation was about which layer one was the fastest. Then it all shifted to layer twos, roll-ups like Arbitrum and Optimism. But the game is changing again. We're moving beyond these general one-size-fits-all solutions and into an era of hyper-specialization.
So, you might be asking, why do we even need L3s in the first place? Well, it all starts with the bottleneck. You see, while layer 2s were a massive leap forward, they've started to show their own limitations, kind of creating a new ceiling for the next wave of really demanding apps.
This really breaks down the trade-off pretty well. You had layer ones like Ethereum, super secure but notoriously slow and expensive. Layer twos came along and pretty much solved that, but they introduced a totally new problem. Since they're shared environments, they can still get incredibly congested.
So what exactly is a shared execution environment? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a single massive highway. All the cars, which are all the different apps in this case, are trying to drive in the same few lanes. Now, when a big event happens and everyone tries to get on the highway at once, what happens? You get a massive traffic jam. Doesn't matter if you're in a Ferrari or an old pickup truck, everybody gets stuck.
And this chart shows you the real-world fallout from that traffic jam. On a totally normal day, transaction fees on a layer 2 can be super low, right? But then, let's say a really popular game drops a huge NFT mint. Suddenly, the activity from that one app causes this insane spike in demand for block space. And the gas prices, they just go through the roof for everyone on that L2. That kind of economic chaos is a massive headache for any real business trying to operate.
And that brings us to the solution, the L3 app chain. It's designed to be a direct answer to that shared highway problem. And the really cool part is, thanks to new development stacks like Arbitrum's Orbit and Optimism's OP stack, building one of these is getting easier and more accessible every single day. In the past, launching your own blockchain was this monumental, incredibly complex task. But these new toolkits have basically commoditized the whole process. Now, a developer can just pick a framework, customize the rules for their own chain, like what token is used for fees, and then deploy it, all while inheriting the rock-solid security from the L2 and L1 underneath. It's a total game changer. Here is such a powerful way to think about this whole shift. Being on a shared L2 is basically like renting an office in a giant, busy skyscraper. Sure, you've got a space, but you're competing with everyone else for the elevators, the parking, the utilities. Launching your own L3, well, that's like owning the entire building. You set all the rules, you control the infrastructure, and you create this perfectly dedicated environment just for your users.
Okay, so this move from renting to owning isn't just about better performance. It creates a completely new economic model. And for anyone who's investing or building in this space, getting your head around these implications is absolutely critical. So we're going to break down 3 core economic benefits here. First, there's this idea that an app can capture its own value internally. Second, you get a level of cost efficiency that's just unheard of. And third, you get the power of total ground-up customization. All right, let's talk about value capture, because this is huge. On a normal L2, you're paying your gas fees in the L2's token, usually Ether. But on an L3 app chain, the application can make its own native token, the one you use for gas. Just imagine a gaming metaverse. Every single transaction, every time an item is traded, it could require a small fee paid in the game's own token. This creates constant organic demand for that token, and it directly ties the success of the game to the value of its token. Next up is cost efficiency. Because you're no longer in that traffic jam, you're not competing with anyone else for block space, you can get these super predictable, ultra-low transaction costs. We're talking fractions of a penny. Now, this isn't just about saving a bit of money. It's about enabling entirely new business models, things like micropayments or super complex social media interactions, things that were just never economically viable in crypto before. And finally, customization. This table gives you a little glimpse of how different apps can build their L3 for their specific needs. An app for big financial institutions can bake in advanced privacy tech like zero-knowledge proofs right from the very beginning. But a decentralized social media app, they can optimize for totally different things, like massive transaction throughput and really cheap data storage. You're not using a one-size-fits-all solution. You're building a purpose-built product.
So when you put all of this together, what you start to see is the emergence of a new, really logical evolution of the entire blockchain stack. We're heading towards a stratified future, where each layer has a very specific and a very important job to do.
And this right here, this is the key takeaway of this entire breakdown. The future isn't one chain to rule them all. No way. It's a layered stack. You have layer ones, like Ethereum, acting as the ultimate bedrock of security and settlement. Then you have layer twos as these general, shared scaling hubs. And on top of all that, you have this thriving, vibrant ecosystem of layer threes, these hyper-efficient, specialized chains built for individual applications.
And this leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. For years, we've all been talking about a multi-chain world, and we usually meant different layer ones competing with each other. But if this L3 thesis is right, the future might be a world where thousands, maybe millions of applications are their own chains, all interconnected, all settling down to a shared layer of security. So what does that world actually look like? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.